The heavy hitters are outside of our Beacon Hill studio. Cosmo Macero of O'Neill & Associates, a guy who's a little bit concerned about that noise ordinance down in Falmouth.
Does this mean I can no longer crank TikTok by Kesha when I'm driving through Woods Hole? Because freedom of expression and all that, I kind of got a problem.
You begged me to set you up, and I didn't find out what the line was going to be. And Peter KADZIS of the Boston Phoenix, I'm now regretting it.
True.
Let's get serious for a minute, Cosmo. Knock off the humor. Let's talk about this Israeli situation. And it's the latest Israel-Palestine conflict. There's a flotilla. It may have peace activists on it. It may have guys engaged in terrorist activity. One thing we know is 9 people are now dead. Israeli guerrillas were involved in it, or Israeli commandos, excuse me. What's your take on this thing?
I don't doubt the quality of the Israelis' intelligence, having been involved in these types of conflicts in the past. But I got to say, you've got a ship loaded with humanitarian supplies. Whatever the final intent is, that's for lack of a better term, that's a powder keg waiting to blow, and that's what happened. So I think their intelligence is probably right, but it was a really difficult situation that they probably ought to handle it better.
Never want to be part of a headline that says 9, quote, peace activists, unquote, killed, Peter.
Yeah, the definition of peace activist, however, can be awfully elastic. Listen, I consider myself a friend of Israel, but the Netanyahu government makes it awfully tough to keep being friendly. I mean, my God, building more settlements when Joe Biden comes to visit, this commando attack on the eve of his visit with President Clinton.
Which has been canceled. Obama.
With President Obama, which has been canceled. All disturbing. I mean, I'm with Cosmo. The intelligence usually pans out in this. To be honest with you, I think the more interesting part of the story is something no one's focusing on, and that is the radicalization and Islamization of Turkey, which has always been a Muslim country, but which is tilting towards more fundamental Muslim activists. It's an interesting and probably disturbing development.
One that Barack Obama doesn't need on his plate, but now he's got it because his plate is already full of problems, not the least of which is what's going on down in the Gulf, Cosmo.
Yeah, I mean, the top kill procedure, pumping mud and rubber balls and junk down there.
Where do those go now? Are they just part of the debris that washes up?
The whole globe was watching that. It didn't work. And really now what we're left with is digging 2 relief wells, the long-term solution. Problem is, the long-term solution is going to take the rest of the summer. So we get 40 million gallons that have poured out so far. That's probably going to double.
Yeah, the president says we're in charge of this oil cleanup, Peter, and now we find out it's going to be late August before they can even cap the thing. Not a good thing to be in charge of.
Yeah, I would never have uttered those fateful words, we're in charge. Listen, people who've been following the Huffington Post won't be surprised by this. The alternative press, the blogosphere, has been way out in front of this story, and people have been predicting for a while that it would probably take these relief wells to stop it. Everyone should stop and ask themselves this question, though. How essentially do you drill these wells, not just this well, but without a real backup plan in place? Now, we've all been told that, we all know that, there was a valve, a not too expensive valve that could have been used. But at least my reading of these stories and watching on television, there's no industry-wide backup plan for this deep water.
All the best thought, all the best technology is right there, which is kind of frightening.
On the other hand, Obama's got another problem on his hands, although it seems to be going away, which is the Joe Sestak problem. Yeah. Did the Obama administration offer him a job in order to drop out of the race so Specter could keep his seat? Turns out now Bill Clinton was the bag man in all of this, Cosmo.
I got a chuckle out of the Freudian slip President Clinton because, as I read over the weekend, a pretty good piece I think in the Post, he's the fix-it man. He's the Michael Clayton now for the Obama administration. Come a long way since the campaign where Bill Clinton was the arch enemy of Obama, and now he's the go-to guy. So, when he's in there, it's like, okay, everything's fine. Bill's here, sweep it under the rug.
And he's like the get out of jail free card, Peter. What we're to believe is they brought in Bill Clinton to offer this guy an internship, basically, to get out of a race that he was winning, and everyone goes, it's Clinton. Okay, we'll all forget about it. What sense does that make?
Well, it makes perfect sense. Anything Bill touches turns to headlines. I chuckled. I mean, this will be the summer laugh. Look, offering the guy a seat on the presidential commission with no pay hardly strikes me as the stuff of corruption. I mean, I long for the days where cash changes hands.
I think we all know that's what was really behind all
bags of money, bras full of money.
I think this boomerangs badly on Chestech. I mean, it's...
We'll see. Quickly, I only got a minute. City Council is going to begin their hearings tomorrow on this firefighters' contract and the arbitrators' ruling and whether or not they're going to have the city fund this thing or we go back to square one on this. What's your take on it, Cosmo? What should the City Council do?
If you don't like the process, use a different process. Is this contract going to cost the city lots of money with other unions? Absolutely. But you know what? You went to arbitration, the ruling's made, you got to stand up and you got to fund it.
Read the tea leaves on this one, Peter. A lot of city councilors saying, I don't know, I may vote this down. What's going to happen?
I don't know what's going to happen. As a taxpayer, I do hope they vote it down. Listen, I'm not being firefighters do an important job. Giving firefighters this sort of whopping raise at a time when so many of us, myself included, are taking pay cuts just boggles the mind.
But the city agreed to 14.5%. Is that more than you would have gotten at this time?
Yeah, about 14.5% more.
That's what I'm saying. Cosmo, quickly, I got 0 seconds. Celtics Lakers predicted.
Celtics in 6.
Eesh, the Cosmo curse. I should not have asked them. They're the heavy hitters. Be quiet when you're in Falmouth.
I'm not saying it.
Go ahead. We'll take a timeout. The mayor will be joining us when we return, talking about that firefighter deal.